Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep. That was Farlinger is here online with us. Gordon?
Yes.
Kramer?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
I'll look to perfect and improve the agenda. Any known changes to the agenda?
Just one, the, library report is in your packet, but we don't have anyone here from the library.
Okay. Motion to perfect and improve the agenda from Gordon. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, second by Morris. Farlinger?
Yes.
Gordon? Kramer?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes. Yes.
Next we have citizen speak. It's time for anybody to speak this evening. It looks like there's a Tracy that was signed up this evening.
What's the protocol? Do I stand up? Just sit there?
Either one, you can sit or stand. We do try to keep limited to 3 minutes.
Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tracy Overton. I live at 932 Long Drive in Saddleback Estates. My wife and I purchased that home on or about April 4th, 2025. A few months later, we decided the house was a little too big for us, and we put it up for sale at the exact same price that we bought it, $825,000. We still have the house available for sale, and we feel one of the biggest reasons that we haven't sold is because that subdivision is set up as a condo regime versus a deeded single family lot. We had 2 serious offers over the past year, and both of them walked away when they did their due diligence and found out that it was a condo, detached condos versus a single family deeded lot. So I'm here tonight to ask you guys, when you address item 14 on your agenda, to please consider changing that condo regime, converting it to a subdivision with single family deeded lots. It sure would help us a lot, myself as a resident and other residents, in preserving our property values. So that's all I really had tonight, and I just ask you guys to consider that when you discuss item 14 tonight.
Thanks, Tracy. And Dave, I thought you were down as well.
Yeah, I switched my hat real quick. I'm Dave Richards. I am representing the Silver Food Pantry as a board member tonight. To the new council members that may not know about the food pantry, we've been serving in Solon for, I think about 10 years, maybe not quite that long, pretty close. We're growing way out of our space. And we just like to ask if there's anything in the future that the council is considering for us, public space, if we would be considered in that. We're not big enough to be able to own our own building yet. So, I mean, if there's any help that we could get from the city in that area, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Is there anybody else this evening that wasn't signed up that would like to speak?
Go ahead.
Yes. Yep.
Well, I'm Phil Kokachik. I'd also like to kind of speak on behalf of the Solon Food Pantry. I guess they say that until you walk in somebody else's shoes, you really don't know much about them. And the same can be said for the Solon Food Pantry. I'm kind of a utility guy for them. I go to Iowa City and pick up food, and I see some of the pleasure on Hy-Vee departments where they can give us all the food they can. I have sometimes 7 to 14 carts out there full of food. And then when table to table comes, we share that food. I try to bring back as much to Solon. And then I also work downstairs at the church, stocking shelves and then working some shifts. And I see a lot of the people that come through. So it's really good to see both the front end and the back end on that. we are a little bit limited on space, so, there's need to expand with that, not only with food, but, with maybe even clothing and whatnot. So we could use, any help that you can give to provide a little bit more space. It's a good mission, good people that are helping and good people that we're serving. So just want to let you know. Thanks.
Is there anybody else this evening? That takes us down to item 5, the consent agenda. On this, we have the approval of the minutes from the July 1st meeting, approval of list of bills, the treasurer's report, and transfers. We have several building permits, and 2 beer and liquor licenses, one for Casey's at 1200 South Market, Sam's Main Street Market, calling out ownership change. And then we have an event application for the Core 4. So, do we have anybody with Core 4 here this evening? Alright. Could you tell us a little bit about the event, please?
Yeah, so, Core 4 is a gravel cycling event. It's the largest competitive cycling event in Iowa. This is our 5th year. We expect about 1,000 riders. 200 of those riders will be coming through Solon, just the south corner of it, from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. roughly. They'll be coming in from the south via Racine and then going to SRNA and then over to McBride State Park, crossing the Spillway and coming back out at English Point Road. It's a, national, international event. We've got riders from Italy, Denmark, all over the place coming from. And they'll be coming through Solon and getting to see a little bit of Solon is Lake McBride, so we're really excited to show them that. We will have DOT message boards on Racine and the Happy Bridge Road to warn traffic about the event. So we have 4 volunteers from the Solon Lions Club to help out direct riders through that Solon, small portion of Solon that riders will be coming through. And when I say 200 riders, it's going to be over the course of 2 hours, so it will not be one big mass group. You'll see rider groups of 10 or less, most likely, kind of filtering through town there. Last year, we had like a full aid station in SRNA with close to 500 riders coming through, so this will be quite a bit smaller than that this year.
Any questions for anybody on the event?
I would say I'm full support of the event. It's similar to the fat tire thing and everything else, but yeah. It's a good.
Yeah, I also run the Fat Tire event that donates to the Lions Club every year, so very familiar with a lot of the residents here, and it's been great working with the Solon Lions Club and just Solon in general.
Thank you for going over that. Cora. Any other questions over any of the items with the liquor licenses, building permits, bills?
I have a couple of questions. What is Huntington National Bank contract payment?
Is that what title is?
It's
One of the mowers. It's one of the mowers.
Okay. So that's where it's from. See, we bought a weed eater from Lumber and they started to check with Tom.
Didn't carry steel or something.
So you want to see, okay, so.
Everything else, we have a steel, or you can steel parts to games.
See, we got some stuff from U-Line. And then, you want to deal with this now and later.
There's one, Greg was asking, beforehand, just with the household service fee investigation, some details on that one. I know we discussed that previously with approving the work on it. Do we know like hours? Do we have a breakdown or anything?
They gave us a proposal for that, and then they ended up, instead of going and taking the concrete out of the driveway, they went north and south. And they potholed both of those. They did try to pothole a little closer, but there was a concrete encasement that was preventing them from doing anything. So we worked with them. It is right at the estimate they previously provided to us. It's just they went about it slightly different.
Any other questions over the items on the consent agenda?
What about change ownership at Sam's Main Street? What's going on there?
Just, he had some original owners on there from years
Oh,
gone by,
okay.
just cleaning up. Just
Okay,
cleaning up.
good idea. Thanks, man.
With that, we have a motion for the consent agenda.
A motion to approve.
Second. All right, motion by Kramer, second by Gordon, Farland,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Warren.
Yes.
Take us to item 6, fire department report. How you guys been busy lately?
Other than today, we're averaging over the past probably 3 weeks, 3 to 4 calls a day. So yes. And it's morning, noon, and night. And it's all, it's not concentrated in one spot only. We run the gamut of the fire district.
So I know we haven't had an agency meeting in a couple months, still roster wise.
No,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
no, we always, there's no doubt about that. But we are, so far, so good. Best way to say it.
Well, thank you for everything that you do
Yeah.
and the rest of the department does. Item 7, we have the sheriff's office report, company for sheriff's office in here.
Anybody?
Takes us to item 8, public works, superintendent, hand it over to the guys.
I'll start, management new base, another wonderful year. Start planning for next meeting, trying to get a few things done before school starts up, well, we got the time, next week, I believe it is Wednesday the 12th, we got a party at the pad, splash pad, so spread that around. Getting a little maintenance done, getting some of the work orders and iWorks and utilizing that program is working out really well, so. I got on my end.
Yeah, so first street project got done, storm is in. And that seems to like help with the water issues over there, so that's good. Mulch at all the like clay like structures, that's all done, and that was fun couple days doing. Tree painting will start hopefully tomorrow, and that'll last about 2 to 3 weeks. So that'll be good if I get done. And just a lot of odds and ends, so.
Good news, the water tower project is done.
Yay.
We have to clean up a lot of it. Absolutely. We have some cleanup and some reseeding and stuff to do, but, the water tower passed its, bacterial test and it is online. We are no longer operating on pressure, we're operating on water tower, level, so back to normal, and it looks beautiful.
Yes, it does.
I would say that was the first kind of big project we had with lighting. How do you feel things went?
There were some hiccups here and there, but, you know, they're a big company, they're spread out all over, so once we got going, it was really pretty simple.
No, they contact you yearly, right? You're supposed to come back.
Yeah, we'll be in contact
My question was, will they contact you or do you have to reach out and like?
either way.
Okay.
Hopefully they contact us and, you know, honor that part.
Sure. Sure.
But we're not gonna let it slide.
Thank you. Well, I knew you would, and I was just curious where they're at.
No, they have local reps here in Iowa.
It's like payload.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Halo in there.
Sure.
So yeah, that's where we are at on all that, maybe I'm looking forward to the next big project, we'll see.
I will tell you, you can't retire.
Well, thank you guys for everything, that you do. We'll skip over the library report, this evening, takes us to item 10, the city engineer report. Dave?
So we got our last waiver filed and DNR reviewed that. They approved it. We have our facility plan approval from DNR on the wastewater plant now. So environmental review has started on their end. They should be preparing their environmental information document. They have a few additional items that they might request that we do just because of the nature of the area adjacent to the state on lands. We have a small easement that we have to go out, with a discharge pipe to get to the creek that crosses state property, and there is an easement there for stormwater flowage. We had seen something similar when we looked at Trail Ridge along Mill Creek. We've already started that process. That's going to require an agreement, so, hope to move through that process pretty quickly. But we're working on that currently. 60% plans are due at the end of the month. We're pretty close to having those assembled, and we'll get together with the city, just like we did with the 30%. Go over that. We have to submit those to DNR so they can do their preliminary review as well. So that's all on schedule. Working on the Wood Lily flood study. Model is operational, working to calibrate based off that June 11th event. We were able to take the topo that we did the survey and merge that with LiDAR to create a surface, both outside as well as detailed, adjacent to the buildings. And they're going through that, trying to get that all to match up so we can get it calibrated on the scenarios. That one also is going according to schedule, so should have something to report back in a month or so to the council.
Thanks, Dave. Takes us to item 11, city attorney.
I've been gone for a couple weeks, so I don't really have anything.
A little bit of catch up.
Yeah.
Takes us to item 12, the LRS report, hand over the LRS to you, Dave.
With LRS, this is my second council meeting, and the first council meeting, I think I got the good marching orders that we needed to do. And just to recap on that, we've hired 12 new drivers in the past 30 days. We hired new office staff. In the past 2 weeks, they've been in services being provided on Fridays, like it's supposed to be. We participated in the Soul and Beef Days, and I think that went well according to all the responses that we got back. We're just gonna continue to work on improvement. Now that we're fully staffed up, have all the equipment, we continue to do what we need to do. Any questions for us?
I'd like to comment on Soul Beef Days, from what I heard. That's a big deal. My hats off to you guys, cause that's additional money the committee can now put back in the community. Not having, find the dollars and cents to take care of that. That was really, really kind of your company.
Our pleasure. Glad to do it.
As a member of said committee. But, well, full-time, so we're not sucking in drivers from other places. We've got 12 locked and loaded local drivers.
Yes, sir. Well, locked and loaded local drivers.
So when do you, like, are we, is that it for, are we locked in right now as far as where you need to be?
We're locked in. Well, I still have 3 out-of-town drivers here that are training some of the new drivers. But as of local, we have all the local drivers that we need to cover all shift.
People happy.
Maintain, keep people happy. If we have call out, we have call out, we still have drivers to fill those roles.
Okay, done well. Good, thank you.
And with the local staff, maybe with that too, sounds like if citizens or if anybody has concerns or calling in a complaint, a question, those calls are going
Right to
directly, correct? Those aren't going to
You know, they're coming right in-house.
as well. So I know that was a concern too, as their phone call. So really appreciate your team bringing that up to speed. And I want to give kudos to you guys too as well. I remember shortly after the meeting, I was grilling in the backyard, probably 6 o'clock, maybe later on a Friday evening, and I hear something out front. I walk out. These 2 gentlemen are in the truck picking up, and they said they weren't even counting until everything was picked up. So thank you guys for the dedication that you've had and the turnaround. It was a rough couple months with that, but seeing the dedication that you guys have had, very appreciative of that. And, based on the number of phone calls that come into City Hall, on the folks come in online, things like that, that will speak volumes to everything that's going on. But I would appreciate, like you said, give us 30 days, and we're pretty close to that. So thank you guys for what you've done. Your actions have broken louder than the words that you had with that, and that goes a very long way. So thank you. Are there any questions from anybody?
Is that more, Tammy and Susie, you guys, the complaints have been nil or minimal compared to what they were?
Less than 5 a week.
Okay, compared to
Many more.
Yeah, okay. And then, yeah, you guys, that's kind of hard on you when you came in here a little bit, but, I didn't think you'd do it, but you did it, and great job. So, yeah.
Go Bears.
Yeah.
Okay, let's not push back on that.
We decided him on this one, we'll bear down.
Not very much.
But, thank you guys again for coming in, giving an update. You saw everybody beating up online. You came in, you spoke up, you laid out your plan, you delivered against your plan. So we'll look forward to seeing the plan continue. So, thank you. That takes us to recognition. So item 13. Love this part. We have 20 big ones with Susie. So Susie is the smiling face that you see when you walk into City Hall, or the upbeat personality you hear over the phone, who hates attention. And we're gonna keep rubbing this in with it. But Susie has served this city for 20 years. I wish we could get 20 more out of her, but I guess we won't with that. But Susie, words are hard to come by other than a very sincere thank you for everything you do. I remember moving to town, you helped me get water shut up. And just the care that you have for this town and what you do on a daily basis with it. So you have very thick skin. You get the brunt of some complaints that come in with that when we know it's not your fault. And so a very heartfelt thank you for everything you do. And I hope we have you as long as we can. With that, we have this just as a item or something to show appreciation. We do have 20 years with us. Thanks.
Just, I think. Thanks, everybody, and yeah, never likes to talk.
I know.
Maybe she wants to.
It's easy to work at my job with kids. I can't talk to any sides. So, but no, I enjoy it. I don't know how I'm gonna enjoy it after this new software starts, but, no, I really like my job. I like working with people in the council and the girls I work with. Some of the boys down there maybe, but.
Who's your favorite?
No, I like working with everybody, so. I really like my job. I don't know about the next 20 years, but yeah. So thank you.
Thank you for everything.
Susie Cletus and Cookie would be proud.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
That takes us to our old business, so item 14, we have the Saddleback Estates concept. On this, I know that we left a few meetings ago with several questions and concerns that we had. And kind of the plan was to give your team some time to work through those questions, provide some more information for council. And so I guess with that, we'll hand it over to you.
So everyone.
Sorry, Brian Bell, Action Consultants. I can speak on behalf of the plan itself and what the proposed plan is there in terms of the plat. I know Brian Cameron's going to be here to speak more to the logistics side of it. I believe we provided a PowerPoint too that I hope you all have as well. So I also will say I'm a resident there, so I'm wearing two hats as well. My wife and I moved there, 934 Long Drive, right next to Tracy, back in last May, and we love being residents of Solon and living there as well, and fully support this also. So I want to speak to it on the personal side of that and for my wife as well. In terms of on the planning side and the engineering side of it, put together a slide because I know many of you probably weren't here on the council at the time back in 2022, right? And annexed into the city of Solon, and at that time zoned as R1, with the intent of 36 single family units. in a condo regime, which is not uncommon around the country, even in Iowa. Done a lot, Illinois and the suburbs, everything else, but it was certainly unique to this area specifically. So different approach. I think Steve and Kevin would tell you at that time, kind of looking more at like a retired community was the plan there at that time. We utilized private streets, but with access easements and utility easements around the loop drive to cover obviously all the road and utilities, but you know that was private and under their maintenance, which they continued to do. One of the next slides there will show you the existing layout as part of that approved PAD plan. From that, and since then in 2022, 8 houses have been built and are being lived in right now. Certainly a lot less than what was hoped for and anticipated. I'm sure Kevin Spees and that ownership group will tell you. There have been challenges with sales, some of that with market demands and just changes in finance in the marketplace here over the last 3-4 years, but also really a lot of buyer confusion in terms of what that means with the condo regime and buying a house and or lot, but not actually owning the lot. And I know that they've received numerous letters of interest and letters of intent to build there, and then gotten down the road and into the details and backed out at the last second because they just weren't understanding what it meant to not actually own the lot themselves. And so that has led to, you know, that need for dedicated ownership of the lot and parcel, which is why we're in front of you here tonight. So you'll see that layout there. So that's the approved PAD. That next slide shows you the existing layout, which has held true to that approved PAD. Nothing has changed since that time. You can see the same quasi lots, if you will, and then the houses are shown on those that have been built, which are those 8 that I mentioned. So going to the next slide, then, if you would, please. So this is showing the proposed, what would be a combined preliminary and final plat. And again, nothing is changing in this in terms of the approved PAD plan, the existing layout to this plat. All it's doing is defining an actual parcel and lot for each of those units and each of those lots that we previously saw on the PAD. It's just giving them total title and ownership of that lot and defining that. To do this, obviously we wanted to keep the intent to keep private street maintenance and everything is still the same under the same ownership group, but we had to then dedicate that to kind of gain a right of way, if you will. So in working with Dave and Cammie, what we are showing is a outlot that goes over that whole road loop and covers the utilities. That outlot A would then be defined as the maintenance by the homeowner association and owner, but give the city obviously rights to access as needed. Same number of lots as there was in the original plan, same number of units. It again is just providing ownership of that. To do that, obviously some of those homes have been built on, and with that plan, we want to be consistent with where those houses are. And with the current zoning that this would come in at as a plat, would necessitate some variances then, and specifically in terms of front setbacks, possibly a little bit of some lot frontage, so that needs to be verified, but mostly on the front setbacks. Those houses are placed a little bit ahead of what would be standard code for a front setback in an R1 or even an R3 situation. So with that plat would be a necessity to have a variance for most of the lots, if not all of them, within this subdivision. So we wanted to share that. And I think in talking with Cammie and Dave as well, potentially a rezone from R1 to R3 would help alleviate some of those needs for variances, or at least minimize the number of variances, just because of the code changes between an R1 and an R3 on setbacks and lot frontage and minimum lot size. And then this last slide, again, is just showing you that comparison from the original approved in 22 to what is being proposed now, showing essentially that the intent is exactly the same. It's just providing, again, that dedicated ownership. And we feel is just a good for everybody in an all-win situation. Obviously, existing owners, from my stance and my wife's, would love to have just the actual ownership of our lot for our own value of our property as well. And if we were to go sell sometime in the future, we have no intent of doing so. But as Tracy mentioned for himself and looking to sell, a lot easier to sell when you can have a parcel or lot to describe that to a potential buyer. Obviously for the buyers, their hope is that this will really increase sales and get a lot more builds going out there, which in turn we feel would benefit the city to see that subdivision really get developed in its full intent. It's a great place to live. We love it. It just hasn't flourished like they thought. I think really mainly because of some of the logistics behind this. So happy to answer any questions in terms of like the planning and that layout. And also, like I said, Kevin and Steve here to answer. I know they've been working diligently on their end to talk with all of us as property owners out there. Do research as to what this does in terms of taxes and title and having all those conversations with the banks and credit unions and things like that. So they've done a really good job of going around and talking individually to each of the residents, both in homeowner association meetings as well as individually to make sure everybody's on board with it, who's there now. So there's no surprises there. I feel that that has been taken care of. I can speak to personally on that end. Happy to answer any questions, or Kevin, Steve, if you have anything else to
add. We, as Brian mentioned, thanks, Brian. Yes, I have through meeting, but I have personally talked to every homeowner that's there. And we have a document that we've created that they will all be signing. Obviously, we understand, as Kevin mentioned last time, they will all have to sign the final plat, their understanding of that, and be in approval. So we have done that. I've also got a letter here from our realtor, kind of outlining a little bit what Brian said of some of the challenges she's had in trying to market this with being a single family condominium development and being a different type of ownership that has caused concerns with potential buyers. So I'm happy to hand that out if that's okay, or I don't know what the protocol is there. I also I have another letter here that was written by an actual interested buyer that we worked with for quite a while and looked at some house plans and just decided at the end of the day they just didn't feel comfortable with the type of ownership they would take as a condominium, and laying out some of their reasons for that. And I think it's a pretty good outline of what the perceptions are. And as he even says in the letter, sometimes, not everything is actually, is how it works, but that was their perception being condominium, and that, somebody's perception is their reality. And so it's difficult. So again, I can hand that out as well. I don't know if that's okay to do that.
And do you have multiple copies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got enough for all the council members.
Just something we can look at
Yeah.
afterwards, so.
Yeah.
I appreciate you gathering that, and I think, before I open it up for questions, just want to confirm a couple things. Since this is roughly 4-year-old development, right? Have we had our setback changes in the last 4 years? I don't believe we have with that.
No.
And so I think hearing that, or seeing the slide where there's no change in layout. The last time you were here, there were concerns about the number of non-conforming lots that we were there. Changing it from a R1 to R3 zoning. Can't speak for anybody else up here because John's online. I did get a text. John said he's having some audio issues with us. So I don't know, John, if you could hear us or not.
Nope, I'm here. You can go ahead and finish, and then I can kind of say what I was where I'm at on it.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that you could hear us because I saw the text, but
Yep.
the text back said that you're having audio issues with
No,
that. John and I are the two members up here that were on council at the time that this went through. And I won't speak for John, but I can speak on what I read from the council that is no longer on here, as well as myself that was a voting member. We would not have approved R3 zoning for an entire development. The city's preference was R1 single family lots. There's a push to do what you've done with that. And I know at the last meeting, Kevin, you stated you must have read the market. It's not turning out how you are. We understand that that's a hardship with it, but I understand there's the benefit. I spoke to a resident that's out there for quite a while last night over it, I do understand the benefit for the current residents or future residents of it being single family lots that they own. But the comment around it's good for Solon, I don't know how you can sit here and tell us it's good for Solon for us to allow all these non-conforming lots when zoning hasn't changed. We grant variances at times, but typically it's for a home that was built in the 50s, the 60s, and we've had zoning changes on this. And so my biggest concern is that you sat here and heard our concerns around the number of non-conforming lots, how it's not up to city code, the street's not up to the city width. We went with this area because it allowed you to do what you wanted to do, and we worked with you to get there. 4 years later, you're changing what you want to do, basically asking us to overlook the code and requirements that we have because you misread the market. I understand it's a hardship for you, but I can't sit up here honestly and say I support this at all. If you came back and said you wanted to work with us, we can adjust lot sizes so we can meet requirements, we can do these things. I have seen none of that.
So,
And so I think, just a second, John, I'm
Yep,
gonna
sorry.
here, so. The fact that you heard our concerns loud and clear, I appreciate you went out and got letters of support, you have residents come in and speak on this. But as far as what kind of precedent does this set? I feel like this town, as long, it is a growing community, and it's growing fast. We've had orderly growth. We're a town that has maintained our charm. The small town pride. And if we allow this, the next developer's gonna come in and we want even smaller plots. We want all these things that this town cares about. And so the fact that the first comment is no change in layout tells me you weren't even listening last time you were here. And so with that, I'll let others speak up and ask their questions that they may have. But to me, this is a complete slap in the face in that you weren't listening last time you were here. John, did you want to jump in with your thoughts as?
yeah, no, I'm right there on board with you. I think this sets this will set a very poor precedent for future councils as people buy land and annex land. They'll say all we got to do is get a condo association like this and sit on it for 4 years, and then the city will just let us not have to worry about setbacks and different things like that. I can see developers licking their chops if we go ahead and approve this, that we're going to have a bunch of the neighborhoods that are going to do this, and then in 40 years they're going to say, well, you guys let them do that, why can't we do it too? So I think for our future councils, it would set a very hard precedent for them to continue to follow city code if we allow a 4-year-old development to just flip and not make any changes and just say, well, we messed up. Just go ahead and change it to a single family lots and change the zoning on it. So I have a hard time getting on board with this as it's shown.
I'm curious, can I just ask, what's the square footage of your home?
About 3,300 square feet.
3,300 square, all right, so 3,300 square feet, $810,000. Obviously, we're in a premium area, it's a golf course. The difficulty that I'm having as the rest of the council is it's not just the price, I mean, the price of the home for the area, then I'm looking at 0.14 acre lots, which are that's unheard of. And when you want to push the sidewalk right to the edge of the street, that's not even conforming to a city street. I mean, we've got a situation here that the market's weird right now, but it's just one of those tough situations that obviously I agree with Dan completely that the fact that this was like, at least come back with something that showed change, not just drawing lines, showing the same 0.14 acre lots that don't meet setbacks. Give us something to look at. That would say, hey, we can do this, or we could work with you with this, instead of. We still wanna make money, but unfortunately, it's a tough call for you right now. I mean, this is a bad situation for. It's just. Quarter acre lot for $800,000 for 3,300 square foot house. I mean, that's asking a lot. So I understand you're on the golf course. Sure. But.
Well, and again, if we missed that, I didn't quite hear this, you know, that you wanted us to completely change that. We could maybe take another look at that. But what I will tell you, right, I mean, this, not trying, you know, what's there can be built like it is, right? It's going to be. It just comes down to how somebody can take ownership to their home. And I get it doesn't comply. I get this is what we wanted to. If we would have known this from the very beginning, we could have, you know, expanded the lots into the golf course. We could have, you know, we could have made the lots bigger. We just didn't. The road's in, you can't change it right now. What's done is what's out there is what's out there, right? And we wish we couldn't do it. But on one hand, you know, we don't wanna, some of the lots, if you try to comply, they get too small, you can't even build on them, right? And if you gotta do that, then maybe we come back and ask for multifamily, or we can do smaller units. Well, that's not what our intent is either, right? So we wanna continue to do what we're doing. And then you don't wanna have one lot that's here and the next house is 10 set behind it, right? That doesn't look right either. I mean, quite honestly, there are probably a few lots that could conform, but then is that creating a cohesive neighborhood when the sidewalk's here at one spot and goes back on the next spot? I mean, that doesn't look natural either, right? So at the end of the day, we're just saying, this thing could get built out. We want to keep it as quality as we can. We're getting it. If it takes us 10 more years to do it, whatever it does, right? We're just saying this could give us a chance. We get over some hurdles. It could be built exactly the same way it looks today. It's just, are you buying a single family lot with a deeded lot, or do you have to buy a condominium unit?
Well, the problem I see is. I mean, you've got some uniform lots that were obviously a lot more expensive than others in this development. With what I see you're asking is, if you want uniformity, then some of these, you should take 2 lots and put them into 1. And create, instead of 36 lots, all of a sudden you're down to 18 uniform lots that everybody's also on the same page. Because that way, all the buildings are together, they're all the same size lots. Even though the streets don't conform, there's still, something that we can look at. That, I mean, it makes absolutely no sense. Yeah, I'm sorry, but like Dan said, I don't know where this proposed drawing came from, but I hope you didn't spend much money on it with how little change was done. Because it's absolutely asinine.
I think, and going back to that is if the message wasn't loud and clear at the last meeting, should probably go back and rewatch the meeting that we post online. Because it was the concerns that we had around setbacks, lot size. I believe it's very clear. If we weren't clear enough, that's on us with that. But before I would admit that we weren't clear enough, I'd rewatch the meeting. The other thing with this is when the conversation first started around, we might want to change something different. There were conversations with city staff that were happening. There were no homes on the inside at that point. There's times where with no homes there, the street could be widened. Changes could be made to the lots. And when the conversation was, we're thinking about requesting a change. And there's conversations that are had where it's, if you're thinking about asking for change, maybe let's hold tight. And not too long later, you put up more homes in the center. To me, the disrespect is ridiculous. What you're asking for now is what the city asked for to begin with, other than the size of the lots and it meeting other city requirements. And so to come back with the exact same thing that you pitched a couple of meetings ago, it's humorous. So I guess
Or I'll hand it over to the other three out here. There are.
Yeah.
Lots on this. Or
R3 would never be an option. I can guarantee you.
The R3 only came up from the city side. That wasn't there. It's.
Appreciate that. I am gonna.
Sorry, I'm gonna mess your guys' names up because we just heard a lot of information, but, you, sir.
Steve.
Steve.
Yeah.
You.
Thank you.
Where are you from, Steve? And you're an attorney, correct?
No,
Or no, or you're this, explain to me how you're involved again in this development.
we're partners with Kevin and Mike from the Hodge Group on this whole project and the golf course.
Okay, and are you a private partner? You work for a firm or?
Private partner.
Private partner, okay.
Yeah.
Are you from?
The company I'm with, we do property management and do some building, but mainly property management up for.
Okay, and are you based out of Solon?
No, I'm from Iowa City and lived there.
Okay. And then, sorry, your name? Kevin. Kevin. Hodges Construction, right? Yeah. Where's Hodges Construction based out of? Iowa City. Okay, and then for you two gentlemen that are the residents out there, I just had one question for you. Did you know prior to you buying the property out there that you were entering into that condo regime? You understood that when that was in the mortgage agreement with your home? So you understood what you were buying?
Yep. I did as well. I have a pretty extensive real estate background.
Okay.
Primarily corporate real estate. I'm retired now, so I did read through it. And I did anticipate there would probably be some problems, but if you read through the entire document on a day-to-day basis, it doesn't really impact much. It's just the ownership aspect of it. What I guess I underestimated is that Iowans, specifically smaller town Iowans, they want to own their own land. And I get that. I mean, I do too now. I realize that was an error. And so that's my goal, is to try to preserve the value of my home as well as the other residents. And I don't know what the R3s and the Rs are, but I will tell you, and I don't want to upset the developers here, but I would be adamantly against any kind of multifamily or two-story, small, little, great big tall homes along the front of our subdivision. I think that would kill the homeowners. If they would agree to like double up some of the lots and put the basement and the single story and have a decent sized house along the front, and some of the other lots that might be smaller need to double up and build a little bit nicer house. I think that would line up with what some of our existing homeowners feel would be the appropriate thing to do. But I understand from their standpoint, I was in business many years, that they're trying to do what they can to make money. They're not a charitable organization, and I understand they need to make money, and we should promote companies that are for profit to make money. But there has to be a balance, in my opinion, to make this subdivision work. There's a lot of subdivisions here in Solon that are doing quite well. That's because they're balanced. And I think right now we're out of balance.
I would argue.
Has there been talk of any financial benefit to you as far as from you buying into a condo organization, knowing your lawn's gonna be mowed and maintained, everything's gonna be kept? I mean, obviously, correct me if I'm wrong, but in a condo world, you own from the sheetrock in. Right?
So I believe in this particular situation, we actually own the bricks and sticks. We own the home that we have. We do not own the land underneath it. We own, like myself, I own 2 7/8 undivided share of the entire subdivision.
But if you have a roof problem, that's condo.
That's my problem. No, it's my
They
problem.
insure it themselves and everything.
Total. And it's.
They have almost feels like in complete home ownership except for the lot.
So when I bought my house, I negotiated with them that I did not want to pay the large homeowner's fee to have my lawn mowed and to have my snow shoveled. And they agreed to reduce my HOA fee, and I'd take care of my own. So in all respects, it lives as a typical fee simple, single family lot. It's just technically on paper, it's just not. I mean, I have, the way it's set up, my yard is identified and that's restricted, meaning that other homeowners aren't supposed to come into my yard. I'm not supposed to go in their yard. Brian and I are neighbors, our dogs are going back and forth. There's no problem with stuff like that. But it's like, I don't want some stranger that I don't know hanging out in my backyard. And we have this restricted area that goes with each lot. So that allows us to have our quiet enjoyment of our own lot.
Out of those 8 homes, how many people have done the same thing you did? As far as discounted HOA fees?
Well, the lawn care and the snow removal are optional services, so you can choose in and out of those. And I think, let's see, 1, 2, I think 4 or 5, probably 4 do it and 4 don't, about a 50-50 split.
Sure.
Yeah.
Matt, did you have another question?
So what he was referring to, like in a condo, usually everybody has an interest in anything. What we've done is we basically took what feels like a lot and created limited common elements to that individual homeowner. So it does kind of define their space, what they have. Again, it's coming back to the same thing. It kind of acts like a single family subdivision. I get the setbacks. I mean, we wouldn't be here today if we knew this would be like this, we would not be here, right? It's, again, to me, it's like, it feels like a single family home, except they don't own it like a single family.
Oh, it was just, you made the comment that, you know, about the family unit things. I think you'd find the council probably would be against that too. I can't speak for everybody, but I wouldn't want to see that driving by. I think you're absolutely right on that. However, I just want to make sure you guys had a clear understanding of what you were buying into once the agreement you entered into. And I don't need to say it because everybody else here who has spoke has said it. And I feel the exact same way. This is a bad business decision or not even a bad, it could have just been you misread the market, as you said. And, you know, yeah, 830,000 or whatever it was for a house is not a charitable organization. You're right. But, that also isn't reasonable for someone, I feel like. So, I think you misread the market on a lot of different margins, and I'm not willing to put a bailout on a bad business transaction. So, I get to your residents. I know how you feel. I'd want the same thing if I was in your situation, and I can empathize with you as a resident. But that's where I'm at with the broader perspective of this. So,
Andrew, from here, all 4 of you are in agreement with what all 4 of you have said.
My biggest concern, I think, when we talked before, was if this is approved, we got a mess on our hands tomorrow. Kind of where I look at it. I don't know if you can reconfigure that to make the lots better, bigger, smarter, whatever verbiage you choose. But if we were to approve this the way it's laid out, we, as a counselor, as a taxpayer, we'd have problems in the future with others coming in.
And I do know, Denny Hanson's here as well. He was on, I believe you're on PNC during the time this.
Yeah, I was on planning
as well, so I wanted to.
When this whole thing came before us, and there was a lot of these same questions at that time on street width and setbacks and sidewalk and short driveways. And that instead of now that you can park a car in front of your garage and not be across the sidewalk, and these were set up where there wasn't, and then it was parking out on the street because of the narrow streets and the snow removal. And we kept being assured that, oh yeah, this is gonna be fine, we take care of that, it's all gonna be taken care of. And we were all assured that everything was gonna be hunky dory on this thing. And now when it fell through, they're coming back wanting the city to bail them out. And I feel sorry for the people that bought in there, but as far as them, you made your bed, lie in it. You know, there's nothing the city can do here or should do to bail you out of this situation, because if you do, just like they've said, every developer is gonna come in and want the same thing. They will come in and cite back to this very day or time when the city gave in to another development. So, now, cause we, again, when we were on planning and zoning, we discussed this intensively with you people. And you all agreed that, oh, everything's gonna be just fine. So. That was our input for planning and zoning.
So with this, as far as next steps, is there any action thing that we need to do this evening, or is it just kind of a?
This was a
concepts
for feedback.
update? So I guess just kind of to paraphrase everything, if there's something different that you're looking for, this is not it.
So can I just ask a general question? I'm not part of the development group. I have absolutely nothing to do with them. But I am a concerned citizen and I'm struggling to I'm retired trying to protect my asset as best I can, property value. So just so it's really clear and basically for them, would you guys consider some type of approval on what we're trying to accomplish by getting out of the condo and getting the single family? If they would go back and redesign the subdivision and come back with something that made sense? You know, close to your current codes and setbacks and things like that as best they could with what they have to work with, because it's already defined now. But I mean, there's lots that they could move around and resurvey and make bigger and slice and dice. Would that be something you guys would be open to listening to?
I can't speak for everybody, but I can say that if the concerns that have been voiced are taken to heart and actually shown that there wants to be some working relationship, I would never say no, the door is shut on that. But when concerns are voiced and it's a complete slap in the face, the message is loud and clear.
Very good, thank you.
Kevin, I will say this because I know I've heard from people, taxpayers, that are concerned about us making a move that would create issues in the future.
Sure.
That's, to be honest with you, that's where I'm at.
Hey, you know what? I get it, right? You know, this is something that didn't comply. We have to go to the Board of Adjustments. It was recommended we come to you guys and see, get some feedback. You don't want to see it happen. I mean, there's nothing we're limited what we have, right? We've got what we have. We'll just have to figure out a way to make it work one way or the other. So that's what it comes down to, so.
As far as the Board of Adjustment, I've been on the Board of Adjustment for 20-something plus years. And there were 3 criteria you have to meet on the Board of Adjustment to get a variance. And one of them is that how do I want to say this because it's been so many years. It cannot be something of your doing. It has to be something that was out of your control that caused the problem that you need the variance. And if you don't meet any of one of those criteria, you can't get a variance, and that was one of them. Is it cannot be by your hand that you need the variance, and it was. You guys developed this, made the short, undersized lots and the short streets, the narrow streets, and everything else. So it was of your doing, and so in that you can't even get a variance from the city. They burned because anybody could take that to court. If they gave you a variance, they could take it to court, and it would be overthrown.
Well, and if that's true, that's fine, because when we asked the city, we didn't get that feedback, so that's why we started this process. So. Okay.
Is there anything else?
Well, thanks for your consideration.
Thank you, appreciate it.
We'll move down to new business, so item 15, resolution 2632, address change request.
Yeah, I'll start on this. This is a resolution for an address change that I received from Laura and Matt Vandenberg. Matt is online here. And so starting back in late January, I received a request, basically a request to change an address because they were having multiple delivery issues, address confusion. Cedar Bend Drive goes completely around the, it's a loop, but there is a cul-de-sac street. And the Vandenberg's house is 700 Cedar Bend Court. But one of the first houses you come to as you come into the come up the hill is 700 Cedar Bend Drive. And so I had explained to them that, you know, confusion in a new subdivision and new construction is fairly common. These issues kind of work themselves out after the first year, and asked them to be patient. It had been a year since they'd been there. And so they had reached out again and said they asked the city to consider an address change. I'd asked them to make sure they had clear markings on the house or in the yard so people could find the address. I had reached out to the fire department, Johnson County Sheriff's Office, Johnson County GIS, the postmaster. This is unprecedented. We actually have never changed an address for an existing house in my 28 years. And there's a reason for that. These addresses are assigned long before a house is there. And so these have already been sent to utility companies. Titles have been filed. Legal documents have been filed. Mortgages have been filed. So there's a reason why we don't change addresses. However, they have some concerns with emergency services, if there would be a call to their home, to the point that I was willing to bring this to the council for consideration. So I do know that if council would support this, that we would set a date for the address change. Dave Scheginger and I have worked on assigning an address of 630 Cedar Bend Drive, if the council would approve it. And then once we set that date, then I would reach out to the agencies that would need to know and facilitate that address change. So again, I believe Matt's on the Zoom call this evening. Have any questions for me or him?
I guess does anybody have a question or a turn?
My question was, is there deeds, he described everything to a T, but in order to change any or all of these, what cost is that?
The resolution states that the city's responsibility is to contact the agencies, the postmaster, fire department, police station, the sheriff's office. That would be up to the Vandenbergs to be responsible for any titles, and you'll see that in the resolution. It's cleared out what's their responsibilities and what would be the city's responsibilities. There's a real possibility that this is going to create more confusion.
Other questions before I hand it over to Matt?
Yeah, I said a couple. Before developments take place, you said the addresses were assigned. Is there anything we need to clear to the county? Or was the city solely responsible for that? Or is there any plotting that goes on by the county that requires approval that goes, okay, this one's named this, and this, and like you said with GIS or anything?
So I spoke with GIS. So what would happen is this resolution would get submitted to the county. It would be recorded. It would be the official proof to change the address, and then I would work with them on when to enact that address change. So through this process, I would contact I've spoken with GIS. I've spoken with the sheriff's office. I've spoken with the fire department, the post office, emergency management. Again, it's unprecedented. We've never done it before, for good reason, but I have done the research that it can be done.
It's weird how your address is set. Like, I bought land in the middle of a cornfield and I wanted to pick my own address, so I go. So.
I guess my question would be maybe for Kevin. Would there be any liability on the city if, I don't know, if the mortgage company came back and said that wasn't a property anymore, or is there a basis for us to be any type of liable for doing something like this?
Believe there is, I mean, the mortgage will be based upon the legal description of the lot. The legal description of the lot is not going to change. There's obviously gonna have to be some work done. I mean, it's sort of, you know, when somebody has something in the county and then it gets annexed into the city, a lot of times their addresses change. There's gonna have to be all sorts of things that the property owner has to do to make sure that addresses are changed from, you know, at least here in Solon, but if you're in Coralville, it's a North Liberty address in the county and it changes to Coralville and the address completely changes. So I don't think there's a liability issue. It's just a lot of work that has to be done. And I mean, frankly, most of it's probably going to be on the property owners to do all the work because obviously they have accounts and everything. And then obviously all these delivery services are set off these, you know, maps that Google or Apple or anybody has, and there can be issues with that, but that's really, I think as long as the county accepts it and that it will go into the emergency management system as whatever 630, if that's what the council wants to do. I don't think there's any liability on the city standpoint. I'm not whether that's going to cause more confusion or not. That may be an issue, but I don't think there's anything that the city would be liable for.
Is it all develop around his house too? Like there's not gonna be another house that goes in, the number is gonna get all goofy.
No, it's
One more open lot on the.
but that's
on the Cedar Bend.
that's on the court. That's on the court side. It's not on the drive side. I have the map up here, and yeah, it looks like there's one on the court. And obviously, I think maybe I'm wrong, Dave, that when the driveway's off the court, that's usually the driveway was off the drive, that would be where it would be addressed off of. So it's kind of where you're.
You say mass list, like, is this request based on Amazon?
No, I'm just saying that there's all sorts of stuff that, and I know they're having issues getting delivered, and I've had other people with deliveries.
Everybody.
Yes, but I mean, you gotta go in, there's a way to go in and have these maps adjusted too, so that's just something they're gonna have to do privately. You know, right now you have nobody uses checks anymore anyways, but you know, if you had a checkbook, it said, you know, you have to go and change your, you know, checkbook, you know, stuff like that. But, you know, there's gonna have to be address changes but there's a lot of work that they would have to do that we really don't have anything to do with. But those you wouldn't believe the maps, you know, you could talk to them till you're blue in the face and they won't correct it. And stuff doesn't get delivered or doesn't, you know. So I'm not saying that's I'm just saying that's stuff they're gonna have to deal, that the property owner would have to deal with, but it has nothing to do with us. What Cammie and Dave have come up with, that's what you need to do, that if GIS is satisfied, and which GIS will turn over to the JEC and the EMS, that would be satisfied too, so.
That seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, I agree, but.
Matt, thanks for joining online tonight. Do you want to just kind of talk through the background a little bit? I know Cammie gave some background on it, but would like to open the floor up to you to either answer any of the questions that the council members had, or just if there's anything that you would like to add to this as well.
Absolutely. First of all, I appreciate the fact that you guys have a Zoom thing. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but this is pretty cool. It's kind of crazy how high tech we became after COVID. So what Cammie's exactly correct. So we had come through and we were told to wait it out in a new subdivision. And I get this to a point, right? I'm a real estate agent. I'm aware that the mortgage is tied to the parcel number. There is an address there, but I work enough with Pete Johnson, who's my mortgage lender. I'm not worried about getting that swapped. I understand that the abstract would have to be redone. And I know what that costs. Again, those would all be me and my wife would pay for those things. The main cause for this, no, Amazon is not the main cause. But essentially, it was right around the fireman's breakfast. I was weed eating around my yard. Can't remember if it was Friday or Saturday. And there was a Mid-American I know uses a yellow tracer line for their gas meter. And I was weed eating near the gas meter, and a blue line shot off, a blue wire. I wasn't sure if it was a grounding wire, didn't know what it was. I listened to the gas meter and I heard the fill up with pressure. So I quick turned off all the gas. woke up my son who was sleeping. He was taking a nap, turned off all the gas, everything, called 911, and the fire department came out. The fireman that day ended up going to 700 Cedar Bend Drive, and this is just a few months ago, and then made it over to 700 Cedar Bend Court. So the problem I have is not necessarily that it's just Amazon. It's if I had an actual emergency that I wouldn't be seen in time. I don't know standard protocol when they would show up to property of in terms of is it we got to go because this could be time sensitive, or because it was a gas meter, it's a little more lax. I'm not entirely sure. Nor do I need to speak on that. I know that Greg Morris is a longtime fireman. I'm sure he's got more than a few things that he can share. But this is more based on more of a security standpoint of knowing that we'd have the correct address where there would be no issues. There would be only one 630 Cedar Bend Drive that would be over there, which would be in sequence with the house that's built right next to us, which is 628.
Any questions that anybody has for Matt with that? Matt, thanks for elaborating on the request a little bit more and the background with it. For any questions that you guys may have.
So I was there that day. When I Googled it just to make sure his address didn't come up. The wrong one did. Not saying, electronics are electronics. I'm not saying that. I found it. I mean, but there's a little confusing, I would say. Or whatever that's worth. There.
And I think that lines up with the concern that Matt.
Yeah, we actually talked about it that day when we were waiting for the American. Cause I really he drove around too trying to. Well, he saw the big yellow truck. Had helped.
What's legal?
Yeah.
That's a GIS thing, but who's responsible for that?
Like if it's Google Maps.
And it was Google, what I used, or it was just confused.
So when I checked GIS, the sheriff's office and Solon Fire Department use 3 different systems.
Yeah.
They all went to the correct address. They went to the correct property. But again, you don't know if you use something different. You see it's an emergency, you see 700. You see that as soon as you get to the top of the hill.
2 different.
Yes.
Sure do.
So definitely confusion, and the way the house sits on the lot adds to that confusion because it faces the corner, it's partially on the court, it's partially on the drive. It is a unique situation. I've had so many requests for address change over the years. They've never come this far to council because I didn't think they had the criteria that they should come to council. This is one that I feel has the criteria to come to council and to make sure if the council's gonna do this, it's done for the right reason, as this isn't something that's gonna be a frequent request by any means.
I think with this request, with it being safety concern, having Greg elaborate on the same encounter that Matt just did as well. From a safety standpoint, I would be supportive of this. If Matt, if your reason was I have to go to the neighbor's house to get my Amazon box, and that's it, I would probably feel different.
And I wasn't saying that, I was just saying that that's something they're gonna have to take care of later, cause you could talk to the glue in the face and they won't change it. So I'm not discounting what they said about safety.
Yeah, so, and with that, I think also just hearing all the other things that may go into it. Matt, I'd love to hear from you just to fully understand, what other implications it could have with this. Again, from a safety standpoint, I'm fully supportive of it, but I also want to make sure that both you and Laura would understand, like, there may be other things that have to change, or there may be other headaches created out of changing the address, with it. But again, from a safety standpoint, and Greg, when you being on call that day as well, I think safety should be our number one top priority on that. So, those are just kind of my thoughts. I'll hand it over direct to council if there's anything else.
It's gonna be in sequential order to the house next to him, regardless of whether it's like zoned on a new block for the 700 block. And I guess if it's not gonna extend anywhere. It's not gonna, be weird. So I'm in favor too.
Yep.
I'm good.
All right, with that, do we have a motion for resolution 2632?
So moved. Second.
All right, motion by Morris, second by Mackey. Farlier,
Yes.
Gordon,
Yes.
Kramer,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
All right, it takes us to item 16, resolution 2633, this Solon School Administration Building Site Plan.
Yeah, thank you. So what you have here is, a site plan for the new Solon School Administration Building. The location of the building is to the south of the, current community center. There are a series of lots that the school has owned or purchased, and cleared over the years. And you'll see on the site plan that, it really covers multiple lots. The site plan itself, Dave can talk about, but I want to just set up the whole picture. So when the site plan was presented, we knew there was some question about Second Street being fully being vacated over the years. The city plows that area just south of the community center because it's a platted street. And it's part of our agreement with George, uses the community center to keep that clear. And so we asked their development team to do some research to find out, just what is the status of that street? It's our understanding that it has never been vacated, and they're showing the parking lot of their site plan on there. So they did their research. They didn't find there was anything formal. They went ahead and submitted the site plan. Kevin also did some research, found the same thing. However, at this point, the site plan had already been submitted. We've begun the review. I was really concerned with the season of, missing this construction season if we didn't keep the site plan moving on pace. So I went ahead and allowed it to go to planning and zoning, who looked at it last month with the understanding that there does need to be a street vacation process. And that process is not one meeting. It's a public hearing. It's 3 ordinance readings. And then once that Second Street would get basically deeded to the school.
Right.
Then there needs to create one lot for this project to go on. Those are really formalities. So understanding that there's some additional action that's already, has been discussed and needs to happen, and an understanding of that path forward. Just know that the site plan itself would be subject to those items being completed, which makes this a little unique. It's a little bit of the cart before the horse, but again, being sensitive to the school's timeline, not wanting to set them back too far into the fall and allow them to keep their site plan schedule on as close as their original schedule as possible. This is coming to you with some extenuating work that needs to be done. So just want to make sure we understand that scenario before Dave talks about the actual site plan.
Well, thanks, Kevin. So a couple of things on this site plan. They are requesting a parking variance. We did talk a little bit about how this might impact the ability for buses to get in and out while they're doing construction here, since that is an area that they would have drop-offs. They indicated the construction will not occur during the school year and will not impact the traffic. They have parking adjacent to the existing building and behind the community center. So they're requesting that even though the parking requirement based off the office space is 48, they're providing 8 and attempting to use the existing parking since most of the meetings that are going to be occurring here will occur at off hours when school would not be in session and there would not be activities there. So rather than paving additional area when they have sufficient parking for this due to the time the meetings would occur, that is the request for the variance. As far as the rest of this, there was a rendering that was done. I'm not sure if that was in your packet as far as the look of the building. They've done a look that works well with the adjacent residential use. There is a an existing tree buffer that's, on part of that. They put a fence in some additional area and some landscaping. They do meet the landscaping requirements. Drainage was a concern. We went through a few different iterations of the site plan to where they got to a point that it looks like it will be adequate for the area that runs off without directing water onto the parking or onto the driveway. There's some storm sewer that's in place that takes care of that. Lighting is on the building, nothing that would be obtrusive to the surrounding area. They have the utility area tucked back in away from Iowa Street, out of sight and screened with a fence for security. And aside from that, they have 2 ADA parking stalls right up near the front entrance that would satisfy the 48 spaces required. So those are the highlights. Anything else that council has questions on, I'm happy to go into more detail, but looks good. Cami, I wasn't at the P and Z meeting. Were there any other comments? P and Z recommended approval.
P&Z really liked the layout. One of the concerns they had was the fact that they were the timing of moving into the new facility and the potential of the current facility sitting empty for a period of time. But overall, they felt that they liked the design and just approved it subject to, again, that street vacation and the plat of survey being approved. So just to recap, this approval will be subject to those 2 items, but it allows the school to really get their contractors lined up, get their building permit submitted. It gives them the confidence that the plans, and it doesn't have to change while we're going through the formalities. Then once the formalities are completed, then we can issue the building permit. So really, again, a lot of intention to try to help keep the school on pace on their schedule.
All right, with that, Tim, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Are you here representing the school tonight or just as a citizen?
Just as a citizen.
Okay, I'm just kind of speak, is there anybody representing the school tonight? All right, I do have a couple questions, with that, and parking is something that is a topic of concern, in town. And so knowing that there would be a variance requested, I'm not sure if the school staff, that works there, if they would plan on parking in those 8 spots or if they would park off behind kind of the other spots to the west of the community center, that other lot that would be considered. Again, driving past the current building, that lot does seem fairly empty on a day-to-day basis, but I wouldn't feel right not asking the parking question as we go through this. I don't know if there's been discussion on that.
Yeah, so they would use their existing lots that they have plenty of space in for their small staff. Those 8 spots would be visitor spots. And then of course, school board meetings being after hours, we looked at the amount of surrounding parking lots that aren't used after hours as being sufficient for that.
Thank you for that. As far as timeline, as far as condensed readings, anything like that to try to keep the process moving with it. I think if this were a heavily traveled through street versus right now, I look at it as a driveway to SIS and to the other lots with that. We typically don't combine several readings at once, but given the timeliness, I know we have a bond that was approved to help fund this, everything. I would be supportive of that as well because of the current kind of state of the street with it. But I also don't have a vote on it. I'd like to ask the counselors up here as well, just kind of their takes on that. But those are the couple things that jump out, and make sure that we were clear on as far as the concept of it and it's according to the building. Are there any questions, concerns, anything up here?
I got no issue.
No, I've always thought of it as more of a driveway behind the community center and the bus barn and SIS, so. Yeah, I'm good. It's a non-functional.
Sooner rather than later, saving nickels and dimes.
It's a 1877 platted street, and for some reason there was a north-south alley behind the lots that was vacated, but this one never got vacated. So, and look, we don't have to take care of it anymore. So it's even a better thing for us. So
we should hold it up because it should be on the historical registry.
Yeah, no. Don't want that. So.
Do you have any questions or comments? And then With that, we have a motion for resolution 2633 with that said, and the stipulations that in the report.
I will motion to approve resolution number 2633.
Second.
What was that motion with the stipulation?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so a motion by Massey, second by Kramer, to approve resolution 2633 with the stipulations stated. With that, we'll go Farley,
Yes.
Gordon, yes, Kramer,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
All right, takes us to item 17, resolution 2634, setting a public hearing. And this would be for the vacation of a portion of Second Street. Any additional information other than what you shared already?
Nope, the street like kind of just in the plat just dead ended right there where an alley get into it, and for some reason it just didn't get vacated. So I think it's a pretty standard, I mean, pretty non-controversial item.
Any questions? Thanks. Then do we have a motion to approve resolution 2634?
I will.
So,
Second.
All right, motion by Morris, second by Mackey, Farley,
Yes.
Gordon, Kramer,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
Morris.
yes.
All right, that takes us to item 18, resolution 2635, Solon Community Housing Corporation Site Plan Amendment.
Yeah, thank you. So Mark Takis is here representing Solon, Community, Housing Corporation. This project's been named Windflower Commons, which I like. Mark's been talking with me, periodically over the last few months. They did need to do some minor site plan amendments because they were minor. We typically don't require them to go back through planning and zoning before it comes to city council. So Dave has reviewed the changes. In addition to the amendment, this would also trigger a change to the original developers agreement that was approved. So that will come back at another time based on what's decided here tonight. And then you'll also see in their packet that they are requesting some kind of waiver on fees associated with the project as well.
The changes on this largely have to do with the landscaping, moving some trees around. There are some patios on the front of the building where the sidewalk comes in. And then each building previously had 20 units. They now have 21 units. So although the square footage has stayed the same from previous, each one has an additional unit. That does change the parking requirement. We previously granted a waiver for that. So the waiver that we granted is going to have to be increased to account for the addition of 6 spaces with the 2 additional units. But otherwise, the plan looks very similar. The grading is substantially the same with the exception of, you can see where the handicap stalls are in the parking lot to the east of the building. Those have moved and the sidewalk grades have changed to accommodate the ADA panel on the sidewalk. Peripheral, everything looks like it's within 1/10 of an inch or 1/10 of a foot. Everywhere else, there are some very minor changes. And again, just the location of the trees. It's largely on the north and west sides, and they put larger trees along the east side to help with screening. So those are the main changes. With respect to the connection fees, just so you understand what we're looking at with that, we update those by resolution every year with a water connection fee and a wastewater connection fee. The sewer is $849.45 per bedroom on a multifamily. The water is $875.80 per bedroom. So depending upon the number of bedrooms in the units, if there's just one, that's $1725.25 per bedroom. At the 44 units we're looking at, that's about a $75,911 connection fee for both buildings. So that's what they would be looking at. And again, the connection fees are calculated based off of essentially buying capacity in the water infrastructure and the wastewater infrastructure. We look at what the cost of the previous improvements was, how many people it could serve. And we assign that either based off of how many people are in a traditional single family home, mobile home, multifamily, hotel, motel, schools, each use. We look at what they would need from a peak demand, and that's the capacity they're buying with the connection fee. It doesn't change like taxation does, where if you're a nonprofit or whatnot, The school pays the connection fee, churches pay the connection fee. Everybody's paid that. So this is something that they're asking that is outside of what we would traditionally waive, but it is on the table for an ask. I just wanted to understand what the impact was from a cost standpoint. That's about a $76,000 request. So any questions from anybody? I'd be happy to go over it more, but that's the highlight.
One thing with the parking, Mark, for you, I believe previously, there was discussion around with the variance that we granted was that based on, kind of experience and with the kind of existing, properties that, your nonprofit, runs or owns and manages on that, would you plan to put it into the lease again, the parking restrictions to help with that? I think that's what you, and Alan had said before. We just want to see if that was kind of the same plan, knowing that there would be a small incremental request for parking.
It is, and also to accommodate that one additional, space per. We were planning to use a garage or a maintenance garage. We're gonna give that garage back to the community and we're gonna rent one across the street. So we took that into account, understanding that that was gonna be something that you guys would wanna know how we're gonna deal with that one extra space.
Thank you for that. And then with the connection fees on there, you definitely would open up for comments or questions. That I understand that it is a not-for-profit organization that is building that. At the same time, the connection fees help fund just kind of, you know, future needs or maintenance of our systems with that. So I'm kind of torn on that. It's always want to support a nonprofit, support like the nonprofits outside of here as well. So I understand the ask and appreciate bringing it forward, but I really want to turn it over to the folks up here as far as their thoughts on that side of things. But thank you for addressing both. So.
If I could just go ahead on the original buildings that are over Meadow Lark, those buildings, those fees were waived for them, simply because of the same thing. So when we were doing our financial analysis of this property and to determine what the rents were gonna be, we took that into account that had been, waived in the past. So that's the reason for the ask. And then just a real quick update on where we're at right now. We have our first 2 deposits. So we have 2 deposits. And just so the council knows, one of which is exactly what we were hoping would happen for the city of Solon. It's an existing Solon resident that is going to relocate so that their house will then come up available for a younger family in the marketplace. The other one is actually a family member that had, or a Solon resident had moved away that is going to come back to Solon. So those are the first 2 deposits. As far as the fundraising goes, with our goal, we're right in that, $1 million to $1.5 million range. We're at right now at about 600,000 is where we're at now. So, and we just started. So I feel really good about the project and, would really love for the city to help in any way that they can. And if it's just, maybe waiving some fees, that definitely helps for the, keep the rents down for the seniors in the Solon community.
But the rent's been set for this one.
The rents have been set. Yes.
They have been set. So I guess when we waive the fees for Meadowlark, that was for low income.
Right.
Which is completely separate from where this one is.
Yeah. This is
assuming these rents are much, much higher, which creates a lot more revenue to you. I mean, as a nonprofit, I understand that. But that's a big ask for going from low income senior housing, which I fully support, to
affordable.
The air quotes can't be, but yes. It's I mean, can I ask, what's the unit go for?
I think we're in the $1,600 range for the 2 bedrooms. Those are the largest ones. And if you look at comparables around, they're way under for those sizes of apartments.
Well, you can't look at comparables right now with the data center going on. That's completely impossible. But it's like, oh, it's a $5,000 2-bedroom apartment going on.
Yeah, no, we're not looking at those as comparables. So we're actually looking at, so the property that's in Mount Vernon that just
went up, that's senior 65, so we're 62 and over.
Yeah.
So we're comparing to similar senior properties, which these people are retired, they're not working for data centers anymore. And those folks that are working for the data centers wouldn't
I'm
qualify.
not saying working for, I'm just saying the rents that they're
Yeah.
getting for.
But just again, so the comparables that we're looking at are independent living for seniors that don't, no services involved. And we're very well under, and the reason that we're under is because we are putting everything back into the property, nobody's taking any, there's no profits that are coming out of it, so. But good, I mean, it's a good question on your part, and we're working really hard to value engineer the building, so right now I'm trying to carve about, $250,000 off the cost of the construction, working very closely with subcontractors. We just had a meeting with the architect yesterday morning to go back, and we're doing value engineering to maintain the quality, but to look at, how can we make things a little bit different to keep that cost down. So everything helps every little bit.
So, did I understand right that churches and the school pay it? Yeah, so I wanna make sure, I'm not in favor of waiving the fees at all. I don't, in more than anything else, Mark, with our water project coming, we can't afford it, period. And I asked several people, unbiased, I didn't say a word, asked their opinion, and everybody said the same thing. That it should be paid for, not given to.
Any questions, feedback?
Great to be to it, with the water. Now, and I was like, we got a huge project to pay for, and I understand you're not profit, but this is something we would be beneficial to everybody. It wouldn't help pay for, so.
I was thinking 50-50 on it, but. Whatever. I kind of see what they're feeling, so.
From a parking standpoint, are there any concerns with the parking variance? The garage spaces given back helps offset that. Time before, they were gonna put it in the leases that only so many vehicles can be part of that to help offset that, where as a city, we can limit that or dictate that into the leases, but as the property owners, they could. So that is in line with any questions or concerns on the parking front.
We talked about that before, but most of these people are gonna use that as storage and one parking space.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess, with that, it comes down to however the motion, would like to be made as far as, waiving fees, either approval without waiving fees, approval with approval with this split, however we would like to include that, in there with it. Kevin, one question is, if somebody were to motion to approve with whatever option of fees and it doesn't get voted, would we go back and make a different one, or would it be?
I mean, what you could do is you could just vote on the fees now and then do that first, and then you would know what you're getting at. I mean, if you wanted to pull that or something like that. So that way you could do the full site plan with, you're gonna allow the parking, but not allow the fees, or 50-50, whatever you guys come up with. That's so I don't know if you wanna just, take a vote with, or you could just say the motion would be without the fees first and then go from there, without the waiver.
And it felt like had a couple that were pretty firm in their stance. Andrew voiced his thought as well. Tim, I don't know which way you're leaning on it. Sounds like there's a couple that were not interested in any change to fees, one kind of meet in the middle. I don't know where your thoughts are. I'm not putting you on the spot.
Due to extenuating circumstances, I would motion to approve without helping with connection fees.
How about parking?
With the parking variance.
I would second that.
All right, motion by Gordon, a second by Mackey. We did have Suzie for the notes. Counselor Parlinger did not drop off. It was about 6:58 for that. But motion by Gordon second by Maggie, for a roll call. Gordon? Yes. Kramer?
I'm fine with it. Yes.
Maggie?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Thanks for coming to see.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Steve's been great to work with. We're just trying to bring something nice to someone. Doesn't hurt to ask, right?
Well, it's a great story too, if your first two deposits haven't sold.
Yeah, it is great. I mean, we just started, so I feel like it's gonna be, we're trying to get in the ground this fall.
All right. Thank you all. Takes us to item 19, hydrologic and hydraulic modeling services for Fox Bridge Part 5, the scope of services.
Yes, so I put together after the last meeting where we talked about the flooding issues, a scope of services, presented that to Cami. You know, we were looking to try to move on this fairly quickly to be reactive to this and get some progress. We have already started working on this with the understanding that that was the council's desire, but I put together a pretty detailed scope of work for this, so everybody understood exactly what was going into it. We had previously looked at an area to the north of this with some of that model, also including a portion of the area to the south, primarily for the what we call the wetland area in the central part of that development. The tailwater that arises as water flows through this system does have an impact on the hydraulics of the pipes that feed into it and can limit how much flow can go in there. So we wanted to make sure that we didn't just look at one small area. We looked at this on a much larger scale. So we were able to secure that model. We looked at it, ran through to make sure that we understood that everything was working properly and it mimicked what the previous report had provided to us. And then we input the information that we surveyed to get it up to date. The previous attempt was just looking at it from the as-built conditions. The current effort is to go through in detail and make sure we have everything exactly the way that it exists, and to simulate the rainfall event. So we're looking at several different conditions for each of those locations in here. That's what the scope lays out. And we're looking at trying to get this done by the end of August. So in order to meet that schedule, I've indicated and instructed folks to get moving on it. So there will be a technical memorandum put together after we get done with this that explains any improvements that would be helpful. We'll put together cost estimates for that, so council can review those and make a decision on whether they want to proceed with those. And it'll have the impacts as far as easement needs, any impacts to adjacent properties for grading purposes and that sort of thing. So all of that will be included in the technical memorandum that comes out at the end. There was a detailed estimate for the labor that was put in here, and the cost is $33,694 in order to complete all of this.
Any questions anybody has for Dave?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna need pictures. I mean, just I understand where we're at. Right now, listen.
And then with that, with the scope of this also need the agreement to move forward with the work.
Yes.
Correct. So that's just with the scope that they've laid out, this would also be approval to move forward with that work as well.
We always had the same agreement with B&K, so it's just the attachment's the only thing that changes in the dates, so.
So understanding this and help preventing, definitely a good thing to do with that. Trying to understand, trying to think of other situations like this that have come up where have we, as the city invests in helping identify and help prevent, now based on the findings, would that be that the city would perform the work, the homeowners would perform the work? Like this would get additional information on that, but kind of what would the next step be from here?
If there are some items that we can do, such as overflow areas where we have a sidewalk that's higher and we can lower that, and that helps with hydraulics. We can change out an inlet. We can work on excavations that we have free flow on the outlet. We can put a larger pipe on the outflow of that existing wetland to help lower the water elevation. all of those things are what we're looking at, but we're trying to make sure that we understand the conditions so we don't just go do work and not have any impacts. What we're also looking at doing here is making sure that we get this documented very well so that in the event that if any future damage occurs, everybody understands the evaluation that was done, the recommendations that were made, the conditions that are associated with those recommendations, so that if we get a rain event that exceeds the capacity, it's understood that the system is designed to a certain point. City has made a decision to follow either their design standards or exceed those design standards. So currently we have a 5-year event that the storm sewer handles. Anything beyond that is expected to run overland. The condition that we're having right now is that ponding that associated with that overland flow in order to get it to go over, saturates the ground and causes some flooding in houses. If we can look at some solutions here to help alleviate that, there may be something where the homeowners are interested in participating because we're going above our traditional design. Council just needs to understand those conditions, understand what the costs are, and try to identify what the appropriate action is to benefit those properties without spending money but not achieving the results. So this is the work that we're doing to document the conditions, so that if somebody were to challenge this in the future, stating the city was negligent in doing something, we can demonstrate that we have met our design criteria. This is what was documented as the decision going forward on the design methodology to address the situation.
Which means we're immune from suits.
So
I just added that
a good
in.
point. Yeah, a good point to add that, I know in other areas, thinking more so commercial wise, when we have made upgrades or tried to improve some of our infrastructure, that we have had the businesses kind of opt to buy into that. I'm drawing a blank on if we've had anything from a residential standpoint where we've done any of that.
A little bit, like, for example, when we did Bergamot, the city agreed to put in those improvements, but the two property owners had to raise their window. What's that called?
Window
well, yeah. So they had to agree to do that. I mean, so that would be an example that, you know, the city is gonna take on a larger project. However, there's some things you can do on your personal property too that need to happen for our work to work, basically.
I think give the thoughts that is shared with that, to understand what else we need to do. And seeing the report that Dave, your team did previously, the amount of damage that was done with the homes. I would be supportive of this on the condition that we do have the residents buy and have some of those conditions as well. With that, similar to what was done on Bergamot with it. And I think just a very strong note as future developments come in, ensuring that there is a lot of detail that we have, knowing that this happened in a couple different areas. Those kind of my thought, right? I'd be supportive of this if we have that buy-in as well.
In that same thought, Dan, so as we're looking at Trail Ridge, the next edition, this is a similar situation is occurring where they have an overland flow route, and we've discussed this, which is part of the reason that is not approved yet. We're still working through those details because of the amount of attention that's being paid to that. So in that comment, I just wanted to make sure that you understood that we're taking note, and as we move forward, I think we even talked about doing something where if there's going to be an overland flow route, we put it in an outlot and not allow it to be on an easement between houses because of the potential for that to influence their subdrain system on their house. And we just want to try to do whatever we can to keep that from happening again, knowing that it's happened in the past. We have sandy soils here, water transmits easily. If you have ponding water, people are going to have some issues.
Thank you for adding that to Trail Ridge, just again for the record where it is, it's unfortunate anytime we have this situation, but to see that we are taking steps with that for future response as well. So with that, I'll hand it over to you guys up here as far as comments, questions, or concerns.
I kind of have a question and a comment. And one be you, Kevin, because of the cost of this and because my property is one of these properties affected, I don't feel ethically good about voting on this because I stand to benefit, so can I recuse myself?
So
from this
when
vote?
you come to your vote, say you abstain with conflict and then your vote doesn't count and, but you have you're required to vote if you don't have a conflict. So when you say abstain with conflict, that we don't even, you already explained it, but you don't really have to, so just when you vote, that's what I would suggest you do.
Okay.
Yes, the questions?
Financially, Cammy, where does this money come from?
That's a great question. So I've been pondering that. I've been more than pondering that. We're at the end of the fiscal year. We don't have things completely closed out yet. But I am confident between end of year funds and recoupment fees, we'll be able to cover this cost. And I really don't see how the council could not. I mean, we're in a position that we have to be able to understand what's happening there. And it'd be wasted dollars to put any money toward any fixes without understanding what's happening. So it's gonna be between those two funds. I just don't know the split for probably another few weeks till we get the year closed.
Dave, the only thing I would say is you're thorough, you do a good job. I just ask your group to do the best you can for us financially. Because people, I'm hearing about our water bills. And they're talking more about just what we're doing as a group financially. So any way you can help us be mindful of our dollar as a taxpayer, I'd appreciate it.
We have a motion to move forward with the scope of services.
So,
second, motion by Morris, second by Kramer. Gordon? Kramer? Yes. Mackey?
I abstain from voting with conflict.
Morris?
yes.
Next we have item 20, resolution 2636, public meeting agenda notice.
This is just a resolution that there was a law passed that went into effect July 1st that basically says you have to if you have a city website, before you had to post your agenda basically at the outside so somebody could come up anytime and see what the agenda was going to be 24 hours in advance. This new law that was passed requires you, if you have a website, to post it on there. So basically what the resolution says is we'll continue posting the meeting notice for the public that they can see from the outside at the place of the meeting. And then we will also put every website will be on the city Solon web. Every agenda will be on the city of Solon's website to comply with this law.
Over that.
Just one real quick, sorry, you've been talking, with, again, yeah, posting, because we've always posted the meeting notice and stuff like that pursuant to the law. My question is, and I've got a lot of public feedback about this, is that what we see in our council packets, the pretty presentations, the public, I know the public can get access to that through Freedom of Information request. Is there any way we can just put the complete packet out there for the meeting so that way the public can see the same things we are without having to submit that request? If it's electronic, it's not going to generate any sort of significant paper costs or labor. While we're throwing the meeting notice up there, can't we just throw the whole council packet up there so they can see the same stuff we can?
So it would have to be a redacted version, but we can look into that. Sure.
Okay.
Other questions, comments on resolution 2636? With that, we have a motion for resolution 2636.
I'll motion to approve resolution 2636.
All right, motion by Mackey, second by Gordon. Gordon?
Yes.
Kramer?
Yes.
Mackey?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
All right, that takes us down to other business, so, council committees. Cammy, you want to just kind of run through the
Sure,
list for
quickly.
us?
Tentative streets committee meeting, after the next meeting, depending on Andrew and Tim's availability. And next finance committee, they've been looking at purchasing policy drafts. Staff are just doing a review on that, making some changes to make sure we have a local business priority. That will be coming to the council soon. RFPs are due on Friday and at 2 p.m. this Friday for the city center development. And then there'll be a meeting scheduled after that with building and growth. The city school committee met on, July 8th, and there's, some back and forth going on the last item on that agreement. So hopefully that will be coming to the council soon. And what do you have on the fringe area?
So I was gone for 2 weeks on vacation and I did contact Linda Rose. She had last contact I had with her, she was going to meet with the planning and zoning department regarding our request. And I haven't heard back from Lynn, but that doesn't mean she's not, it's vacation season. I was gone for a long time. So as soon as I hear back from her, I'll give you guys an update.
With that, item 22, city clerk report, Susan. City administrator comments, Cam?
Wanted to just, talk a minute about the water and sewer rates. People got their first bill, this last, month. And, so wanted to just recap that the council spent, in the finance committee, spent quite a bit of time on looking at rates and looking at the scenarios. And it was intentional that that the council chose to, change the minimum from 0 to 100, 1 to 1,000, because that that had the least amount of impact on the lower end users who are typically a single person or on a fixed income. And so while it appears everyone has been impacted, it was very intentional that the council chose to make sure that those folks were impacted the least. So when you look and say, my bill went up $50, yours only went up 25, it really depends on usage. It was designed that those who are using more pay more than those who are using less. Also, if there's any questions on what those codes are on your bill, that same letter that went out is on the website. And then we encourage people to contact City Hall if they have any questions about their bill, because we really want to help them understand. We had 2 public information sessions and had folks come in and ask those questions directly, but we understand that not everybody can come to a meeting. So we still want to help them and help answer any questions that they have. Also, I want to give Chris Richardson some acknowledgement here, because we just pulled off one of the most successful beef days in history. And there's a lot of coordination that goes on behind the scenes at Public Works level, and everybody helps out. But Chris has led up beef days the last 2 years as far as from the city standpoint. And he's not a guy who likes attention, but he still deserves it. So thank you. Finally, cleanup day is on Saturday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. LRS will be there. We'll talk to you folks with Public Works after the meeting here quickly over cake to get things situated. So that's all. Thank you.
Any council comments?
Yeah, I got a couple things. Number one, with our water bill going up, people not being happy, anybody out there listening, you have any bright ideas to help us ease the pain? We will listen. Know if anybody's philanthropic or foundation that might be interested in helping with that project, or help with the 1 cent option sales tax tip we have on the firehouse, let us know. Look at it, anything helps. And in the end, I remind you again, our city folks to be cognizant of dollars and cents, because it does all add up. Thank you.
On top of Greg's thing, I guess as far as the water bills, Facebook, I guess I'll be the guy in there that there's been from $300-400 bills popping up on Facebook. If anybody has any question on their water bill, we're not selling artisanal water and so it's you have a leak. I will come help you find this leak. Please contact anybody if you have a $300 or $400 water bill, because it didn't go up like that.
No.
So, that's right.
I think so.
Yes, sir.
Just with the mayor comments again, it's another successful beef days. City staff puts in a lot of time. The beef days committee does a heck of a job year in, year out with that. So kudos to another great event there. And then for those that stuck out the end of the meeting, we do have cake to celebrate Susie. One more time. With that, we have a motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. All right, motion by Morris, sounds like Mackey got a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any adjourned?